Access 2016, Module 6 and 7. This is Part 2. We're going to be discussing the differences between the sections of a form and the sections of a report. So in Access, we have a form that has one header and one footer. The form and the reports are designed in a very similar fashion, with the exception that the reports have multiple headers and multiple footers. So at the beginning of the report, the very first page is a report header. It's going to have information that only prints on the first page. So for example, in this report, we have different pieces of information, such as the ranges of information, such as dates and accounts, that are included on this report, how it is sorted, if it is subtotaling, and certain information about what the report will include. That information at the top of the report here is only included on page 1. That's the report header. The next header is a page header, and this information will print at the top of each new page. So if you look again at an example of page 2 of the same report, you can see that certain pieces of information, such as when it was printed, the name of the report, and who printed it, as well as a page number, are printing at the top of each page in what's referred to as a page header. The next category of headers that we have within Access are called group headers. And with Access, we can have up to 10 grouping levels. A group header will print each time the group changes. So if we look at our same report, we have two groups. First of all, we are grouping the transactions by account number. So every time the account number changes, we get this header information that gives you the basic account information as well as your column headings. You can see this next account number right below it. The second grouping is by month. So you can see within account, we are also grouping by the month that the transactions occurred. There is no header for our second group. So there doesn't have to be a group header just because there's a group, but you can have up to 10 groups, and each group can have a group header. Then you have the detail section of the report, and then following the groups, you can have one group footer for each grouping level. Usually that would include subtotals that you would be printing when the groups change. Excuse me. So for example, if we go back to our report, you can see that at the first change, when we change by month, we do offer subtotals. So this is the group footer for the month group. So we have in month 1, and then we have month 3. So those subtotals are appearing. And then we change accounts. We also have an account group footer, where we get totals by account. So again, you do not have to have footers by each group, but you can have up to 10 groups. Each group can have one header and one footer. Then we get to the report footer. The report footer appears once at the end of the report. It usually contains information such as grand totals, and it prints before the page footer on the very last page. You can see in this particular report we have some grand totals that are printing in our report footer. The page footer will print at the bottom of each page. So sometimes people put information such as when it was printed or the page numbering at the bottom of the page in a footer instead of in a page header. The particular report that I was using for an example had all of the information in their page header, So we do not have a page footer in this report. So when you're looking at exam questions and they're telling you that you need to add a total, a calculated control to a report, not only do you need to figure out how to add the calculated control, but you have to figure out which footer the calculated control belongs in so that you add it in the right place. So for example, if the total that you were to add was a grand total, you would need to put that in the report footer. But if it was a total at the end of the month or a total at the end of the account number, it would need to go in one of the group footers. So you want to remember that point when you're working on your questions for the exams, that if you see a calculated control and it is in a report, then you have to be concerned with which footer should I be putting this control in. And that concludes the different sections of our reports.